and good morning. Welcome, all of you across the streams. It is the Cornbread Man Morning Show here at the SFP, Southern Fried Patriot Cornbread Nation, as we are broadcasting live from Northwest Georgia in a very cold morning, coldest one we've had this year. It is below 20 and it is cold, but the studio's warm. I had it kept it warm all night, and so I didn't have to start in and do anything different. There's some of them I'm still trying to pull up here, so bear with me just a second. I think we about got it, but they're just trying to be a pain this morning. I think we got them though. All right, and I'm wearing my security jacket. It's a warm jacket, so I wanted to go with it this morning. Happy Monday, December 15th. December 15th. It is just a few days left until Christmas, obviously, and we hope that you're making your shopping list and making it true and getting it everywhere that you want it to be and finished up. Hopefully you're done. I am not, but we've got a lot going on. And I told my wife last night, I said, well, we kind of selected a day that we would start getting that kind of wrapped up. And she was showing me something last night that she wanted, but it is getting closer. And the new year, we're going into a very pivotal year election-wise. We have a special election in Georgia for the MTG seat, and I'll be a part of that, not only as a voter, but as a person who works at the precinct as an assistant manager for that. I think it'll be a pretty good turnout. A lot of people running, very high probability. Yeah, we'll have to do two of them because there'll be a runoff because of all the people that's running for it. I doubt you'll get the 50 plus one. So, and then we'll turn right around and have elections for the midterm, and they'll vote on it again. And it's going to be a busy election season in our state. Lots of offices, including governor, and just a lot of, like I say, got to have the special election, high probability of a runoff, and then you'll go right back in to the main election, the primaries, and then, of course, the election for that, the general election. And that's going to be busy. I mean, it's going to be a lot of activity, and your phones are going to blow up. Your email is going to blow up. The ads are going to be everywhere. There's going to be a lot of money spent in Georgia on that. Good morning, Jake. Yeah, well, there's things you don't know about me, Jake. There's things you just don't know about me. And Robert Clemente says Trump loves Bubba. Well, maybe I guess he does. I don't know. I don't know. But I do have a new shirt here. I got it in, and we need to do all we can to stop soldier suicides. I had a great weekend. I really did. Now, I didn't broadcast as much. I was busy. We took a little bit. I missed Sunday morning. I wasn't feeling well. And so I hate that. I don't like missing that. But I did get some things in, got some things done. One of the things we did is we went and heard the author, and she's going to be on the program for the Corpsewood Manor murders, and can't wait to have her on. Now, we've got another interview before that. We haven't set the date on this one yet. It'll be probably right after the first of the year, but Miss Amy Petula. And if this is really local to where I live, and if you have not seen that, well, you're welcome, and God bless veterans. And by the way, I wanted to share this. I'll come back to this. But this is an organization that I got with that wants to stop soldier suicide. But here's some amazing stats that I've not seen, and I want to gather some of them here. Since 2022, or excuse me, in 2022, there were 6,407 suicides by veterans. That's an astounding number. 22, if I get my mouth to work, consecutive years with 6,000 plus veteran suicides. 22 years consecutive. 140,000 plus veterans have died by suicide since 2001. And it is the second leading cause of death in veterans under the age of 45. And this is the thing that they sent me, and you can see those numbers. I'm not pulling them out of the air. That's some things that they sent me. So they have this thing that they sent me, and the shirt which is behind me, that was the shirt that they sent me. So it is on Facebook and Instagram is at Stop Soldier Suicide, or you can go to stopsoldiersuicide.org, O-R-G. And so anyway, I always like to help any way I can and to highlight those things. And they have, I was trying to see what this acronym, I guess it's an acronym, stands for, but, or maybe it's just what it's called. Yes, they do need better care, Roberto. They definitely need better care. And I think that, we got to go out and quit doing as much across the world. And listen, we're a world leader. I get that. But we spend way too much money overseas helping people who hate our guts than we do our veterans who are here, who have sacrificed for our nation, and they need to be taken care of. I've always said that from the youngest of age. I have said it is an absolute shame, and it's appalling, the lack of attention that we give to our veterans. And, we got a bunch of sold out politicians on both sides. I listen, I'm conservative, but I will tell you that both sides have their hand in the cookie jar. You know it, and I know it. In Saudi money and other things around the world, they both have had that grift in their pocket, and they can say what they want. We know the score. We know what's going on. What happened the last time we isolated? Well, again, I understand fighting a fight before it gets to your shores. I'm not talking about if there is a direct threat or something, but we need this. This whole idea of backing one terror group against another terror group and then totally switching around and doing it back the other way. It's money. I mean, it's money. We test out new weapons. Good morning, Logan there. Hello to you. Happy Monday, early Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. But yeah, there's a lot into that. That's a deep subject, and I do understand it. But yeah, let's pray for our veterans. Absolutely. Well, yeah, December 7th, 1941. Well, there's a lot of people said we brought that on too on purpose. I don't know, but I understand. I get that, and I do. Like I said, if there is a threat that is, if you go back and really look at that, we kind of opened the door to that in a lot of ways. But that's a great topic to get into and a great subject. I had to write a paper one time in college on whether it was appropriate to drop the two bombs on Nagasaki and all that, and it was an interesting paper to write. I really put a lot of time in it, prayer, research. And at the end of the day, basically my answer was to that is I was not the qualified one to answer that. And the reason I said that was I wasn't being wishy-washy about it. I said, I know how I feel about it. But if you're asking me if it's my answer was the veterans who were on the line, the veterans who were going to have to go into Japan, the veterans that knew how mined and bombed and the death toll that they'd already said would happen. I can tell you, and every veteran I ever talked to, and thank you so much, Logan. Thank you so much. Every veteran I ever talked to, and I had some in my church at that time. One of them was a naval veteran, had two ships sunk underneath him. One of those in shark-infested waters. But every veteran I had in my church who was alive at that time and served said they loved the president for doing that it stopped the war, and they came home. So I said, I'm going to go to them. They were there. I was not. I wasn't even alive. And I said, so my thesis on it, my answer is that even though it was a horrible thing, yes, it was necessary to stop overall more death and carnage and everything. So that's where I left it at. I'm not saying I'm right on that. I'm saying that was my answer. I got an A on the paper, by the way. It was it was an essay. You do a lot of essays in college. And, I struggled with it for a lot of reasons because I'm analytical anyway. I look at things from all different sides. Sometimes people get mad at me for that. But I do try to consider every side of a story or every side of an argument or every side of a war, but certainly I'm patriotic and I'm going to always stand with America. But if we're wrong, I don't mind calling it out. Hey, today we always cover what is the national things today, or a couple things. First of all, we'll get to birthdays. It's not really heavy today with a couple of, but I do want to cover a couple of birthdays. One of those is Don Johnson, TV actor. Boy, you remember him, right? 75 years old. Oh, and on that note, very horrible story. Now, I don't have to enjoy somebody's politics, but the story out of Brentwood and Carl Reiner and his wife being stabbed to death in their home, and they're saying a person of of interest, and that is their own son. Horrible story, and I can imagine your own child, if that's what happened, stabbing you both to death. I have two sons. I have several grandchildren. I could not even imagine that. And I guess they said he had trouble with drugs and stuff. That's just horrible. But Don Johnson, 75 years old today. And just a couple of more. Let's see here. Paul Kaye, comedian, 60 today. And Jeff Stoltz is 47 today, another TV actor. And there was one rock singer I wanted to get to. Where did he go? Because I don't remember his name. Baseball player Joey Bart, know him, 28 years old, not personally, obviously. But there was a rock singer that I wanted to get in here. And now I don't know what I've done with it. Where did I put the rock singer? I don't know. I'll figure it out later, I guess. He disappeared. But also, I love to do these. It's just my little thing, and I must have accidentally closed the screen, but we'll pull it right back up. The National Day today. I love to do these. And today it is, and this is a pretty cool one. It is National Cupcake Day. National Cupcake. So if you get a cupcake today, you're right in line, because today is the National Cupcake Day. And it is also the Bill of Rights Day, December 15th. The Bill of Rights Day. What a fantastic day for us. But anyway, on matter of fact, talking about 1941, on December 15th, 1941, Franklin Delano Roosevelt did designate this day as Bill of Rights Day. So there's your little history to that. It is also Cat Herders Day. Now, I don't even have a cat, and if I did, I couldn't imagine. But sometimes doing a job is kind of like herding cats, and so you can have that to happen. But herding cats day, that's not a fun job. But really, what it means is if your job would be difficult, it's like herding cats. That's really what it recognizes. And one other one, National Pearl Day. I don't have any pearls. So if you have pearls, it is National Pearls Day. Also on this day, because it is this day in history, that would be the Bill of Rights was signed. Sitting Bull was killed on this day. Eichmann was sentenced, the Nazi, remember him from history. The game Trivial Pursuit was invented this day in 1979. And the Iraqi war ended in 2011. Remember that. Time does fly by, does it not? And we remember all those veterans today. But that's some of the stuff I like covering those. They're kind of cool to cover. So National Cupcake Day. Maybe I'll stop this morning and I'll get cupcakes for my employees and take it into them. That would be a nice thing, maybe. So, but anyway, back to just real quick. Had a great time at the Book and Barrel bookstore. The book signing from Amy Petula. This was a very controversial, a lot of different sides to the story. And I just started reading the book. I just got it Friday night. I've already into the second or third chapter. But Miss Amy's going to be on with us soon. She also does ghost tours in Chattanooga. We'll talk about that as well. On December 22nd, we're going to have Mary Fagan Keene, who is the great niece of Little Mary Fagan, another murder that happened turn of the century in Marietta specifically, but you can say Atlanta general area. And we're going to have her on, and she's going to update us on not only the story, which I've studied and read books on and been to her grave. And we're going to go back to her grave before this interview. That is the plan. Anyway, she's going to give us updates on how they're trying to clear the name of her murderer. And so anyway, there's a lot. I have her book on the way. But anyway, if you've ever heard that story, she's going to give us updates in the battle that she has ongoing with that. And last night for our racing show, we had we have another dirt track driver who's also a minister of music, and understanding he's kind of a comedian kind of guy. He's an entertainer, But he's going to be, that should be on the 29th, Monday the 29th. We're going to have him in studio, or by way, he'll be live anyway. Those are interviews that we have. We have others on the way, but we're excited about those. We're really getting into some of the book. And don't forget, Three Ravens Publishing, .com, local book publishers who have been on the program with us several times. And they have a new book release, I think, today, or because I saw early this morning, liked it and shared it. And they do sci-fi, horror, comedy, kind of stuff. But great folks over there at Three Ravens Publishing, and we want to give them a shout out as well. So a lot going on, and we're excited about it. Again, the racing show and sports show this week will be Wednesday evening, after late afternoon. We will kick that off about 5:45 or 6. It might be 6. I have an audit to go to down in Calhoun. I may be running a little bit close on time. I'll have everything ready to go. What a crazy weekend in sports. Crazy weekend on this Monday morning. Two very superstars, torn knees, ripped the MCL. Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs, their season was already really over, but his season is over. Ugly injury. And Micah Parsons, who was a Dallas Cowboy who went to the Packers, who was in a dogfight game on Sunday and didn't win, he tore his knee up as well. So, and what about Phillip Rivers coming back? Now, they didn't win. After 4 years after he retired, comes back, played well, threw a touchdown, I think, at least one. They did lose 18-16. What an amazing story he is. And that guy is just uber talented, always has been. But I applaud him for coming back. He's trying to help them as they've had injuries on their team, and this is the time of year that happens. And yes, over the weekend, the Navy did defeat the Army. It was a comeback win. I had picked the Navy in that, and shout out to all of our Army folks as well. But hey, you got to pick a side, and I'm Navy, so definitely was excited about that. And so shout out to the Naval Academy and all those players, and what a fight. But yeah, it was an ugly weekend for injuries. There was a lot of blowouts as well, a lot of blowouts. I was looking to see, because I went to bed on the game, and I get, by the way, NFL, you're playing your game on Peacock every once in a while. Not a fan of that. I don't like being made to try to force me into another subscription and stuff. And I got Peacock one time as a bonus to something I bought, and I watched it for a few months. It's a fine channel, but I'm not going to pay for another one. I'm just not going to do that. But anyway, last night on Peacock, NBC, and I didn't, they do this stuff. But anyway, the Vikings did defeat the Dallas Cowboys. Can you put a fork in the Cowboys? They're done. They're not going to the playoffs. Come on. 34-26. That was a big win by the Vikings to get back, because they needed that game bad. Probably won't make it. I mean, they're 6-8. I don't see them making the playoffs. Only 3 games left. I guess there's some wild card possibilities afloat. The Cowboys are 6-7-1, and but their playoff hopes are over. I mean, they it's just over. One of the teams that always spends the most on their team every year, and then they always just cash it in. It seems like. So for all you Dallas Cowboy fans, you should be. And by the way, I've been jumping on the Atlanta Falcons for just the trash that they've product that they've been putting out. It was not pretty, but they did beat this weekend. That was an early game on Thursday. They did beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by 1 point. So a little bit about news from the weekend. And just to throw an extra one in, I did watch part of, I didn't see all of it, but part of the Philadelphia 76ers against, the Atlanta Hawks. And the Hawks get the win. They needed it. They had lost 4 out of 5. The Sixers are just not kind of up and down as well. But it's a great team, a great game, excuse me. Kind of, high scoring, but some really young, really exciting players on both teams, and some aging veterans. But I have been watching a little bit of NBA, not much. I've been trying to get back into it, but for sports' sake. Oh, and by the way, our friend, I've got to send him the link today. That's going to come over the racing. He's a big Tennessee Volunteer fan, so I think I told him I needed somebody for the All-Star panel when we do our pick'ems next year for the college. And I think he's all in. So that would be great. So we'll have 4 teams. Is it 1, 2, 3? I think 3 teams covered in the SEC now, and hopefully we'll get 5 or 6 more. We're not trying to get one for every team, but we are trying to get a panel. And I like having different people that are fans of different teams. But we're gonna run. So we got podcasters, we've got a veteran, and now we've got a dirt track driver, someone to represent the Tennessee Volunteers, and see if he can pick with his heart or his mind. we're gonna keep up with those and post them every week, and just see how we do. So it's been fun this year, me and Dean picking against each other, but it's fun to bring in others too. So that was year 1 of the racing and sports. It was all year 1. We're getting ready to flip that around, even though we're fixing to go in the new year. We started it out this in 25. So year 2, we've got a lot of plans, a lot of things on the plate. We're excited about it. We do have to find out this week if Dean, my co-host for the Southern Fried Racing Hour, the SFP Sports, if he got him an adult Happy Meal with the socks, the Grinch Happy Meal. Have you seen those? I actually have the box behind me somewhere. I don't know if you can see it. It's hid back there. But anyway, my wife or my granddaughter wanted me to buy one. That's what it was. Buy her one. So she wanted me to buy one. And we got different colored socks. There's 4 different colored socks you can get. We'll find out this Wednesday if he bought one. And I told him he should just go ahead and go over to Burger King and get the SpongeBob. I don't know if he says he's a SpongeBob fan. I don't know. I'm not, but we will see. Horrible shootings over the weekend as well, as we know. I said the news is just full this morning. The Brown University. And by the way, they just trashed a guy's life. Absolutely trashed a guy's life. I feel so bad for the guy that they picked up. Sources leaked this guy's name out, and now his whole life has been dug into. I imagine his family is mortified. They've now released him and said, not the right guy. Thank you, sources, for putting his name out there, whoever you are. More than one person. We know who did this. You did that on purpose. And now this guy who seemingly has nothing to do with any of this stuff has now had his name trashed all over the internet for being a supposed killer. That's ridiculous. And I feel bad for this guy. And the guy that did it, he looks like a guy. I'm assuming it's a guy. They said it's a guy. He looked like a guy in his gait, his walk, and whatever. He's still on the loose. So they didn't get the right guy. They were patting themselves on the back how they traced this guy using cell phone technology, using the, GPS, all this stuff. And, they can tap in and get the work they did, track this guy to his hotel, banged on his door, got this guy. Oh, we got him. Person of interest, they wanted to call it. But basically, they were doing the victory lap. We got him. No, you didn't get him. You got the wrong guy. Bunch of buffoons. I mean, come on, like Keystone Cops. You know what? That's just not right. It's not right to do a person like that. You make sure you got the guy before you trash this guy's name all over the internet. Just ridiculous. And you don't have the guy. And then, of course, the horrible Australian anti-Semitic shooting that occurred there on the beach. But what a hero. I love the guy that took the daddy. It was a daddy-son, evil duo. And I think one's dead, the daddy's dead, the boy's critically injured. Just scum of the earth that were, going out there killing innocent people. And I don't care what background people have or what they do or don't like in the name of religion or anything else. That's evil. You don't have a right to do that. You're not heroes. You're scum. And anyway, I love the guy that jumped out of his car, came up there and tackled that guy, took the gun away from me. He delayed what should have happened, but he should have just went ahead and took that guy out and then took the boy out. He had his weapon. He should have just used it on him right there. But he did. He wrestled that guy's gun away, and then it was all downhill from there. But the police, and I have read that the police were very slow to respond, like kind of froze kind of deal. And so citizens had to, take action. Well, you know what? For all of us, I don't care what anybody feels about weapons or anything, the ownership of or whatever. You are on your own. You are on your own when trouble comes. it's going to take a while for the police to get there. And it doesn't mean they're going to react the right way when they do. And so, Broski, basic rules: you charge someone with a gun and run from someone with a knife. Nobody rushed those guys in Australia, and they were taking their sweet time to reload. Yeah. Oh, they didn't look like they even knew what they were doing. I mean, they looked very buffoonish too. I mean, where do they get these plans out? I mean, they're evil, they're stupid, but there's been commandos that have hit music halls and government buildings and taken over places. I mean, they look like they had a plan. I mean, they, these kind of groups have infiltrated. They had plans to take out the initial security. They held hostages. And of course, it's always going to go down. You're going to die. But that was they knew that, but their intent is to expand it as long as possible. These two idiots, I mean, they looked like they just walked up. I mean, the daddy's standing behind a tree, just firing away. Baby fat boy is up on the little walking bridge or whatever. And it just looked like, they look like they don't even know what they're doing. I mean, they didn't look like they knew how to handle the weapon anyway. I mean, what kind of a family, idiots we got and plans do we have, that we're going to go and do this. But God bless citizens, and you're going to have to take action. And so you better be prepared. Just yesterday, now, thankfully the police were there. I had a weird thing happen. I was going to church Sunday night. I go to the end of my street, and across the street, I see four police cars from the neighboring state. It's a city just across the state line. They're all in the parking lot, lights on, and three of them tear out very quickly. I just must have missed it. Apparently, they they picked up on there was a stolen car. They followed these guys with undercover, and I did see the undercover tear out as well. They pulled into the station I use almost every day. I stop there at least get a drink or something, fountain drink, and they tracked them there and went to intercept, and they shot at the police. So this whole thing turned into a very ugly thing. And I can imagine you're pumping gas and here comes the hoods. I think there were four people in the car, and then the police were shot at. They tore out after them. And then when the time I got home from church, they had the whole station shut down, every entrance. There must have been 13 police cars on the parking lot. And they were, because it's a crime scene, they've got to do all the measurements and everything, the bullet casings and all that stuff. It's a miracle nobody got killed. I don't know if they've caught these guys yet. A stolen Mitsubishi is what I read. But that happened just across the highway from my street that I come out of. And many times I go there before church. Sometimes I'll stop in there on my way to church, like I said, just to get something to drink or whatever. But crazy. I don't know. But these evil people, let's take care of them. But I don't like, who wants crime in their neighborhood? I mean, really. Nobody wants crime there. I was talking to a guy Friday. We had an outing to Topgolf and for our workplace, and he is a Michigan fan. His dad worked for one of the automotive manufacturers up there for 30 years. And he was, or however long, but he left that and he moved his family south. And he said, so at the age of 12, we came south. And I asked him, I said, what brought your dad down here? Was it work? And he said, well, in a way it was work. He said, but really, Dave, the reason he left, he had a job there. He could have retired with a pension and all that stuff. The reason, and God bless him, the reason he left was the crime. And the Detroit crime, he said, even all those years ago was off the scale. And he said, so we came south and he went to work. I forget what he said he went to work at. And he said, it's how I ended up down here. And we just stayed. And he was actually he was a preacher. I don't know if he pastored, or if he was evangelist, but he wanted to get his family out of that. And I've talked to another lady who was working at our company. She just recently left the area. Same problems. She said, I will never go back. It's a war zone. Most of my family has moved south, and we don't want to be around that. And this lady actually wanted to fit in so much, she worked to change her voice inflection to sound Southern, not overboard or anything like that. Not like those Hollywood actors who don't know how to talk Southern, but I couldn't detect the I couldn't detect that Detroit accent. And she said, well, it's intentional. I wanted to fit in. This is my home, and it'll be the home for the rest of my life. And I wanted to fit in. And I applaud her for that. What a blessing that is to do that. But amazing, amazing stuff over the weekend. And it's that crazy time of year anyway. I mean, suicides go up, crime goes up, all kinds of stuff as the holidays get ready. It gets colder, darker early, all that crazy stuff. And unfortunately, we're going to see, stuff like that intensify. And then, that's not the only one around the world. And certainly we have things heating up for our military in Venezuela. I love the fact that the news put out that Venezuela is issuing bullets and getting their military ready for battle. I'm like, really? Come on. If that's really your answer, Maduro, it's not going to end very well for you. He doesn't. I mean, he's holding on. I get that, and he's the type of guy that would let everybody go to their death to try to hold on to his power. He might as well cash it in. It's over for him. He might as well take whatever avenue he can get out, whatever dictatorship across the world will let this guy come into their nation. He's done. This guy is not. He's done. I think that's pretty evident, and I think that's the messaging is, look, you either leave or you die. And so he's now getting the citizenry ready. I imagine a lot of the citizenry is going to lay down their weapons. They're going to say, first of all, how are you going to fight what you can't see? We don't need to be on the ground. You don't have to have troops, but obviously special forces will hit the ground. They're already on the ground. We know this, but it'll all be from the air. It'll all be from the air, and we'll just put a tightrope around that nation to where the people will force him out. I mean, he's done. He just doesn't want to admit it. But yeah, go ahead and get your army, your military ready. Let's see how that works for you. And best of luck, buddy. I mean, best of luck. If that's what you want to do, you go for it. Good morning, sir. How are you? And go ahead and fight your way. I mean, what is the strategy meeting in Venezuela as they gather around the war table in the war room? And they say, okay, I need options here. Air Force, coast defense. What if they hit the ground? Okay, what is our plan? What is our air defenses? Like, well, we can't even see them out there. I mean, they hit us from such a height and a distance. We don't even know that the missiles are coming. I mean, we don't have the capability to see those planes that they have that are radar evading. We don't have that type of defenses. I mean, that would be. I mean, well, how are we on ground troops? Well, you haven't paid them in a while. We're having a lot of defections, sir. We've shot a few. It's not working. They're abandoning their post. I mean, that's kind of the way I see this thing going in Venezuela. It's like, hey, go ahead, get your military ready, and we'll see what happens. It's like when we hit Iraq, that Schwarzkopf hit that he did was such a pincher move. that initial defense that they had out there with all those tanks and everything, the reason those guys were defecting and giving up in droves by the thousands was, and they told their commanders, they radioed back and they watched, tank after tank get blown up. And that's what they said. We can't even see the enemy. We can't even detect them on radar. We don't know where they're at, and they're blowing us up. And then we swept across there after we had just initiated, carnage across some of their best frontline troops. They had, what was it, the third or fourth largest tank military by number in the world. I mean, he had spent a lot of money in this, and we're blowing them up like, we're just shooting bottles off of a fence post, and they can't even see it coming. And so when you see, several tanks around you get, just eviscerated, you're getting out of it. I mean, you're not going to sit in there. It's like, okay, we're next. And so they were giving up, and then they swept across the desert, with thousands and thousands of troops who were, just, elite, fit for battle. I mean, the same kind of thing. They had nothing. And does Venezuela really think that they're going to be able to put up a defense I don't think the people are behind that, and I don't. The opposition leader is actually encouraging the U.S. Obviously, they want to go in power. Maduro's done. He just don't want to admit it, and that's what dictators do. Uh, Obviously, he doesn't care for his family. What's going to happen is he's the type of guy that probably surround himself with his family in hopes of defending himself. And what's going to happen is they're all going to die. It's just, you don't do that. So anyway, go for it, buddy. just go for it. I mean, what do you say? We intercepted the tanker. Now, I was reading that a lot. They're going to cut off the supply lines, which is really, this is also another backdoor way to hit to maybe put pressure to end the Russia-Ukraine war. There are 1,000 ships, oil tankers, 1,000 of them, and they are the ones that's selling the oil on the black market, as we call it, so that Russia, because they can't sell it, any front line, nobody can sell, because they're tied in with there's all the restrictions on that. So Venezuela's been a buyer of that, and a seller and all that. Well, they're going to they're starting to target those ships. They will be held. They will be confiscated, and in some cases on the Ukraine side, I won't even say that we might be involved militarily. They're going to take those things out. They're going to start putting the pinchers move on those vessels as well, because they're dealing illegally across the world, and they're the ones transporting the oil, and they're not the best of the best. It's kind of like when you go to the black market, you're not dealing with top of the line crews, you're not dealing with top of the line vessels. These things are floating death traps for the environment. I mean, that's what they're spending, and I'm sure they are. I mean, it's not like the frontline leader. It's not like the best of the best maritime vessel with the best of the best, captain of the ship. These are basically pirate type things, and they've got, rattle trap vessels that probably would be sunk very easily and are leaking oil. It's just that kind of thing. It's every trip is a hope and a prayer that they make it across the ocean to wherever their destination is to sell this oil that's illegally being sold and traded and all that. But so they're the bottom line vessels. I mean, so they basically are targeting those now and saying we're going to do something with those vessels and put the hit on on more on the finances of Russia, who is not going to deal. I mean, he's in a position of authority. He's not affected. He doesn't care. So just a lot of things going on as we enter our Monday, the week before Rattle Trap. My mom used to say that. I know that, and I can't remember who it was in my family. I don't think it was my dad, but somebody that I was around growing up used to say that a lot. But I always liked the term. But I mean, they're deaths. I mean, it's like, hey, we all been there as young people, right? Either you had it or you rode in somebody's car. It was a wing and a prayer that you ever got anywhere. I mean, the brakes were about shot. The wheels, you're having to do like this to keep it in the middle of the road. The tires are bald. The engine sounds like it's leaking. It's rattling. Smoke coming out of the back, like the person behind you can't see. We've all had, I drove one like that. And then I've rode in those like that. And you're like, okay, let's see if we can get over to Joey's house or whatever. You don't even think about it. You just go do it, I used to drive this car. When I bought it, it was a pretty good little car. But over time, it started having some problems. And I just drove it until I basically couldn't drive it no more and got rid of it. Because I had 2 cars. And I was just like, well, it's paid off. I'm going to get my mileage out of it. I knew the engine was going. It smoked really bad. It's a little Plymouth Horizon. It was a nice little car when I got it. But, it was already high mileage. So anyway, it would smoke, but it would only smoke like when you're sitting at the red light. That was when it would really build up. And right before it gave up the ghost, as we say here in the South, I was sitting at a red light. I was leaving this place. I used to work in North Chattanooga. It was a rough place. I mean, right by some government housing. I mean, bad area. I mean, my car got broke into and everything. I almost got killed by a guy with a brick there. I mean, I was that close. So crazy stuff, stories I could tell you. But anyway, I was headed home from there, and I was at a red light there at the National Cemetery, If you're in the area, you know what I'm talking about. And this car, and the light hung. It was late, but the light seemed like it took forever. And there was some. It was summertime, and there was some basically gangbangers that pulled up beside me. They had the top down on their car, and they were shouting all kinds of things at me because, yeah, that's what it was. they were shouting things at me because they saw who I was and what I was and all that. Yeah, I'm not supposed to be there, obviously. So that light took a little long. Well, here come the smoke. And they started hollering at me because of the smoke off my car. And it was because they got the top down. So they're just covered up by the smoke. And about that time, the light turned green. And so I floored it when I did. That whole intersection, let's just say nobody could drive off for a few seconds till the smoke cleared. I would have got a ticket for sure if the police had been there. But I want to tell you, I gave them a mouthful. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's what was. And did I goose it a little harder? You better believe I did, because I knew what was going on, and I knew what I was doing. And so I gave them a little bit of what for. That's right. That's right, sir. Oh, we did that one time, me and my best friend. We were teenagers, and come on, everybody's done it when you trap people and you wouldn't let them pass, because they were being a jerk or something. So you just work with the drivers beside you and you hem them in. And we did that in town one day, and we'll just say we had that same kind of group. They were, man, they were jumping up and down in the car and hollering at us and screaming at us and flipping us off. My best friend was driving, and he's like, they're not passing me today. I don't know what it is about the human element, but we just do what we want to do. I mean, we sometimes don't do the things that are right, but Lord forgive us. But I'm not going to be honest about it. I mean, oh, don't tell me that you guys that are listening, well, and ladies too, let me not leave them out. I'm not saying they wouldn't do it, but I think us guys are probably a little bit more just that mentality. Being honest, don't tell me that you've cut off people so they couldn't pass that were driving erratically and it made you mad. So you just rolling coal. That thing was smoked bad. But yeah, it's on the interstate or something. You just kind of see where it's going, and you kind of jump in a spot and cut them off. I know it's not just me. I try not to do those things anymore, but there's something within us. We race, It's like if somebody goes around us, it's like it's a bad thing, It's like I can't let them go past me. I've got to continue this. I got to speed up here. Why do we like that? I mean, it's just, I know it's the total depravity of man, but what is it about us that it's like we got to settle the score. And then, and also the game is to act like that you're not doing it. Women are worse at doing that, actually? This is a revelation to me. I didn't know that. I did not know that. According to Mr. Brusky Bear, I didn't know that. I'll let the ladies speak for themselves. Not that hey, listen, I've rode with some ladies. 5 heart attacks before we got there. I know some ladies who drive real aggressive. I've rode with them. Oh gosh, what in the world are you doing? Oh, but many times, and ladies do drive. I mean, young girls, they don't have as many wrecks. They don't drive with the speed usually, and they do live longer. So they're doing some things right. Us guys, we do some things we ought not to do. We shorten our life down. I think it's it's over. Isn't it just over 80 years the average now or something for women? 80, like 80.1, 83. I forget what it was. I saw this the other day, and for men, it's still about the same. 72, 73, something like that. I know there's a lot of variables that play in that. Men are bad about not going to the doctor and taking care of things, and ladies are scared of what they're going to hear, but they'll go. You know, and they'll take better care of themselves. Most of them. I know some that are stubborn, but a lot of men is like, oh, I don't know, I just tough it out. Good cup of coffee will wash it all out. Whatever's going wrong with me, I don't need no help. And again, I know there's natural remedies and all that. I'm not speaking against that. And that's another interview we're going to have soon, right after the first year, is our holistic health lady from Cleveland, Tennessee. Paul's working on that interview. He uses the services, and we're going to have her on, and hopefully to have her on a regular basis. So we're setting some things up like that. Oh, and by the way, Watchman, I just didn't get a chance yesterday to call you, but I will, and I did show earlier. We are going to be covering this story, the Corpsewood Manor murders, and we're going to have the lady that wrote the book, and we're going to go down and do a little groundwork on both these stories. That and the Mary Fagan story are both coming. Both we've got the 22nd for the Mary Fagan, and then the Corpsewood. I've got to call her and set up the time. I will call this week, and we'll see what she has available. Also, we have the interview with the dirt track driver for December 29th, I believe that is, that we're going to have that interview and talk to another dirt track driver. And we'll get the guy side of this thing this time. Excuse me. But we have a lot of working interviews and different stuff going on. Excited about. Very interesting stories. I mean, very, very interesting stories. And really, out of this one, I want to cover another. I'd like to cover another story locally that I'm familiar with it, but it's been a long time since I studied it, and go back and talk about that story. I don't know if there's anybody I can get to talk about that one, but we'll talk about it I'm kind of doing that. It's kind of a true crime kind of show that I'm going to be doing. So on those nights, we'll just, whatever night we get the interview, we'll call it that. I don't have a name yet for it, but that's going to be those things where we're diving into stories like that, true crime and that. You like to interview the one guy that's still alive in prison. She may have talked about that. I knew that the one guy had died. I think she did. Yeah, she did say, which there was one living. There were parts she didn't get into. It was an overview. I wish I'd have recorded the whole thing. I didn't realize what the setup was going to be. So it was a packed little bookstore, I want to tell you. And next time I'll know how they kind of do it there. And we're going to be going live from there within the next 2 weeks. We're going to do a live show from the bookstore. It's a great place to get a cup of coffee and sit and talk books. We're hoping to interview people as they come in, excuse me, who are willing to go on the air. That's the part that's hard because people are so scared to get on camera. But we're hoping to interview people about their books they like and kind of go talk about that. He's in South Georgia, about 4 hours from you. Okay, yeah, there's several prisons down there. That was quite a few years ago. I knew about this story, but I never went. And I said from my buddies who all hunted that live in that area, they had been there many times, and they would tell me stories about it before they died. They told me stories of meeting them before they died. I wish I remembered all those stories, but it would be interesting to get that side of it, no doubt. Just to see their thoughts all these years later, and the whys and wherefores and whatever they'd be willing to share. But it has a lot of ugly parts to it. I mean, the whole thing is just ugly. The whole thing is not good. I mean, I get it. You have a right to live the way you want to live. And I get that, but it's an ugly little story. And I can tell you how people took it around here, how they spun it. Know how the guy in prison found the manor he was hunting as a kid. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And for those that don't know, you can look this up, by the way. But it was called that, my understanding, because by them of all the dead trees or something when they got there. It's surrounded by a national forest, but they did that on purpose so that nobody could build around them. And but a spooky thing. And then there's the gargoyle you can see they had on the front of it. I'll show you a picture real quick. Um, I think um, let's see here if I can get one that'll show up pretty good. And this is one of the guys. This is one of the guys that was killed right there. That's Charles, who was the Scudder, who was the from Loyola. I would say that. And there's a many years later that was part of the structure of the castle, as they call it. So, and you can see some other parts of it here. Ladders or stacks and stuff they had. It was basically a section of four, and then they have the chicken house pink room. She talked about that in her talk. And there's just a bunch of stuff. This book is loaded with information, and I look forward to kind of diving into it. I was going to see if I could get real quick. Here is this. Is this the guy that's still living, Watchman? This is Avery. Is that the guy that is still the one living? I don't remember which one died in prison. Or is it Tony West? That was his book picture at the time of his booking. She told some fascinating stuff about him in the talk. But anyway, I'll be going through this, and it's a fascinating story if you can look it up. And here's the police and all as they're kind of outside the manor. You can see this. You can see them there outside of it after the murders occurred. But anyway, get the book, support the author, Amy Petula. She's a local gal who went to law school with McCracken Poston, who wrote, I don't have it in the studio, The Zenith Man that I covered. They went to law school together, know each other very well. And he was there that night. He talked about The Zenith Man. And there was another author there. I wish I had got his books, honestly. And I would love to talk to him, but I can still get in contact with him. But I had a chance. It was just a busy night, big crowd. They were just absolutely wonderful to us. Yeah, Pete Gargoyle. He was part of MK Ultra. There's all this LSD usage that they have. They're in a, homosexual relationship. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on. People think it's cursed. They believe that, weird things happen. She talked about that. We will spend some time talking about this case, and we get her on. We'll let her talk about the story itself and her search to do this book and people that helped her. She got a lot of help. In fact, and it may be available online, but she was given privy to pictures that district attorneys and judges let her view and take pictures of. And it's just a fascinating story. But I'm just up to really telling about their story or getting into their stories when they came here. But just amazing stuff. And I really enjoyed the talk. She actually ended up doing about a 35 minute talk. And I only had like 5 minutes, but when she sort of slowed down, I didn't know exactly what she was going to go in. Now, part of that was Q&A as well. Next time we'll get the whole thing. And there'll be other ones that we'll do that with. That's where the molested kids came up there, the chicken shack. That's what they call, okay, underage boys. Okay. I didn't know that. But I mean, it's sick. It's a lot of bad stuff. She was being very sort of center of the road, not trying to take a side. And I get that. She's the author. She's just trying to cover the story and get that. But around here, it was a very ugly. That was the LSD was for the MK Ultra experiment. Okay. But I remember, I can tell you what people here, at least a lot of people thought about it before they even died because of people were telling me about it. And I was like, what? there's what down there? I almost thought they were making stuff up at first when they started telling me the story. And I was like, are you kidding me? What is that? And so it's weird stuff. And then if you know anything about the area in the first part of her book, and he's known around the world, and I'll show you one picture if I may. Everybody remembers Mr. Howard Finster. And he did a couple of album covers. One was for the Talking Heads. That was the house he built there in town. And, he did all the artwork. and we'll go down and get some pictures and stuff from there too. But he built that. He doesn't even know what he was doing. He said God showed him the plans for this house. He went over and asked his neighbor after he built the house, and she said, it looks like a birthday cake is what it kind of became known as. It was a birthday cake. And he said in response to that, well, I think your house looks like a peanut butter sandwich. Oh, Watchman says that was CIA LSD as pure as it gets. Oh, I bet. Can you imagine getting pulled over? I was saying this that night. Can you imagine getting pulled over? And you've got the 11,000, 12,000, whatever it was, of hits of LSD in the car. Wow. Good grief. So it was a bad deal. And then, like I said, there's 2 other murders that are mentioned in here. And one of them actually, I don't want to be insensitive or anything, but this has been out there for a long time. There was a couple really ugly ones, and it may not show up real well. Let me see if I can find that real quick. And I want to, just a horrible story and just pure evil. I don't know if I still got the thing or not. I think that was in the introduction. She talked about some of the other local murders that we've had. And around this area, it's a very small area. Not that many people live there. They would have been let go. He was connected. I understand. And somewhere in here, she talks about the murder of, I don't know where it's at now, but anyway, I'll find it and I'll show it to you. But it was a crime scene photo from another murder. Had no connection to these, but they're pretty, really odd stuff that happened in this area. They all happened within a very recent time and all not that far apart. I mean, it's sort of strange how that happened. They had no connection to each other, but they all happened in the general region of that. So anyway, we'll get into that more and more. You get into small towns and you get into weird stuff like this. It is fascinating to go back and look at. And and sometimes you get when you're so far away from a story, you get the ability to look back and see things. Because when you're in the moment, you learn things more and more. And then later on, you have the ability to look back. And some things we'll never understand. There were things that was asked questions that not about this case. And she was very good about not saying, I think it's this or whatever. She would say, this is what people think. Here's the 2 or 3. And then she would say, I don't know. But and a couple of them, she even said, I'm doing further research now. She has another book coming out. Obviously, you don't want to give away all your stuff. But she said, if I knew, I would say, one of those is about the supposed diary, which wasn't really a diary, but it had some writings in it. I think in the next book, she's going to talk about that a little bit. So she's not done with this case yet. There's still some things that she wants to explore in her second book. So I think it'd be great. And we'll let her speak for herself. I really enjoyed listening to her. And McCracken posted Jr. He's a funny guy. And he said some things through there, kept it kind of light because his book is nothing like her book, even though they're both about murders and stuff. And he was saying some stuff that just cracked me up. And I don't even know if he knew some of the stuff. Yeah, he said, Watchman says, you don't leave a CIA project at a Jesuit university with 12,000 hits of LSD and not be allowed to leave it unless the CIA wanted it. Well, there's a lot to be said. It's a weird and odd. I mean, how do you get to be able to take that? Like, nobody's not going to notice. I mean, sir, we have a lot of LSD missing. Well, we just had a professor leave. Maybe he took it. And what I wondered is, one of the things I wondered is who they were looking for, as I said, or as she said, a place that was surrounded by a national forest. There's not many of those places. I mean, I've known of a couple areas where it kind of goes around a property, but this property here, surrounded by forest, you can't build on it. but you can hear because they didn't want people building around them. How did they know about that spot? How did they find it? How did they do research? I mean, this is back before the internet was a huge thing. I mean, how, did they take some maps and just start going and looking at? There's that part of the story I don't know, but I'm curious about it. But Paul, Biscuit Boy, we're going to go down, and I think my son's going to go with me, and we're going to get video and pictures from both places. We're going to go to the two sites in Atlanta for the Mary Fagan story, two main sites, and then we're going to come back through, and we're going to stop in this area late. Paul says late. I got a feeling he wants us to be out there at, right after dark. I don't know, dude. We'll be packing, I'll tell you that. But we got this idea to do this over the Christmas break, so because we want to get that in, and I don't know, we'll see. That's crazy, but look for that maybe to happen soon. So we're hoping to go down before we interview, so we'll have to do that quick on the one anyway, and on the other one. But I do love this type of genre, this type of true crime, real events that happen. I can get into some fiction and stuff, but I'm really into more biographies, history. This kind of goes with that. It is history. It's a part of things that really happened, these murders that happened, and unfortunately there's tons of them. We have another story I've been wanting to go and give an update on. Just go back and look at it and kind of do some video from the area. Me and Paul are scheduled to go up and do that. It was a horrible accident that happened in the area. So it wasn't murders, but some would say it was because of how the lady just didn't pay attention and led these kids into their deaths. And we're going to update that story. And it's all part of our kind of really a documentary type part of the podcast. Stuff that I've really been wanting to get involved with more and more. And now I've got the pieces in place to really do that. And so it's kind of hard to do some of it by yourself. You need help. So he said, I bet he was connected to Michael Aguino. Colonel Michael Aguino was head of the psychological warfare for U.S. military. He was the one who did the psychological ops in Vietnam. He helped start the Church of Satan. Well, and there is a connection there, and he was a donor to that. They found the receipts where he gave to them, but they said that there was like Christmas cards, which is a weird odd thing. I think it was Christmas or some kind of cards that were sent out to all their supporters, and so she said she doesn't believe their connection was very much, but because she didn't have evidence of it. She thought maybe they just sent out cards to their supporters, and he was in the list, but I think they're still digging in that, trying to find out if there was more of a connection. And she touched on that, but she didn't go there. And that was where she was a little. And I think probably this is going to be more part of book 2. To be honest, I think there's a little bit we got to kind of getting into stuff that she was really working on right now. So I think probably she's going to touch on that in the next book. So, but yeah, you're very well versed in this story, and it is a weird, twisted, odd, definitely sicko story, and unfortunately, people were murdered. Nobody deserves to be done that way, but it was a weird. And then the whole story about being from the area. I know the area, and so when it was the one guy. I think it was not him. I think it was the so it wasn't one of the guys that killed, or the guy. I know there was 2 of them, but I was trying to see if I could find that guy's picture again. And there, so she did a really good job of packing pictures. So not Avery. I think it was this guy. I think she was talking about him. He did the worst. He couldn't have done a better job of turning himself in unless he drove down and just did it. I mean, like he goes around, but he goes up to the little club. It's not there anymore. It was a dump hole. Sorry for anybody locally. I'm not going to name it right now. We'll name it later. It was a dump hole bar. Yes, I had been there. I've been in a couple of dump holes in the wall, whatever you want to call it. They played music there. Anyway, they always had security there because there was always fights, always crime. It was a rough place. So I've been in those. Not proud of it. I'm glad to be alive. But it's a place where blood on the floor about every weekend, or maybe even every night. But anyway, it was very well known, packed out. They had a band. I knew played there for years. And good morning on Podbean to you. And anyway, he goes up and he tells the officer who's on duty, I'm the guy you're looking for, basically. And the guy, okay. And they look it up, and actually it wasn't in the system. And long story short, a weird set of circumstances, he ends up convincing them, and he makes a phone call, I believe. And they go, oh, yeah, we're looking for that guy. And here's a weird part of that story. We'll get to it when we talk about the book. I'll have her talk about it. But they were afraid of some legalities because of the way he was brought across the border. So they take him back to the border, and they drop him off on the Tennessee side. And then he walks across himself onto the Georgia side, and they arrest him. Because he was transported, they were worried that they were getting into some legalities there, and that's actually what they did, so they could officially arrest this guy. Okay, we're going to drop you off 6 feet on the other side of the state line, and you will walk to the officers on the Georgia side. That would be in Tennessee. You're going to walk to the officers on the Georgia side and turn yourself in, or they will arrest you or whatever, And that's what happened. But he's sitting in the police station forever, just sitting there while they looked into all this. Crazy times. I would love to talk to officers that were on the scene doing that. They might not even be alive anymore. I don't know. But if they are, I would love to talk to them. That would be great. Tell me about that ride. Was the guy bragging? I ain't got into that part of the story yet. So I'd love to get the transcript of this case, the court case. I'd love to be there. I don't know if I can get a hold of it or not, but I'd love to have it. Maybe they'll do it. Maybe I can get it digitally. I don't know. It'd be anyway. That's your morning show. I am going to work. All the kiddos in our area are on a 2-hour delay, so I don't have to take kids to school this morning. Although I'm wondering if I'll get a phone call to go help take them back to school. But so I'm not doing that, but I do go to work. We'll be on this evening. Sorry, I was a little. We did the Saturday show. We did some videos. I haven't released all the videos yet. Me and Paul, Biscuit Boy, but I did go on yesterday, and it was just I wasn't feeling the best, and I was really helping my wife, and I just didn't. It was cold, and I stayed in the warm, so I didn't even come to the cold studio till last night, and warmed it up for this morning. But we will be broadcasting a lot this week, and we look forward to being with you tonight. We'll do at least 2 shows, and we'll figure out what those are. I've still got to do the Patrick Claiborne History Show, part 3 of Def Leppard this week. Part 3 of Def Leppard. We're going to cover hysteria and all that goes with that. And for you, Watchmen, I watched a really good Vivian Campbell interview over the weekend with a guy that he used to play way back in the day with in Sweet Savage. And it's a 2-year-old interview, but very up to date, and went his whole career. I never had seen an interview. He kind of went through the whole thing, and there was some things I learned in there that I didn't know. And I've studied his story a lot, and it was a really good interview. And it was a long interview. I did watch that on YouTube, and it covered his whole career, and then how he even got the call to even come talk to Dio was pretty amazing too. We'll talk about that too. I love that show, and I'm not bragging on. I just love talking music. I love talking history of music and what you like, what you don't like, and we all have interest and taste. But I love the story behind the story. I love. Sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's tragic. Sometimes it's funny, goofy, whatever. And sometimes it touches your heart. But I like music. I've always liked music, and I like talking through those things. And come be a part. Be more than happy to bring somebody up on the stage, let them share their experiences with going to see certain bands or whatever. That's the intent. It's not meant to be just me. And I still need to reach out to a couple of folks. I had a guy on Rumble. He's out in Oregon, and he messaged me after the show and said that he was he saw them on their first tour, Def Leppard I'm talking about. And I didn't see them on that tour. So he saw them on the first 2 tours. Those were tours I didn't see them on. But I thought that was interesting. I enjoy talking about that. So we'll have sports and racing on Wednesday. And we've got our debut of the Wolf Nation show this week. We're very soon to have we're coming up with a name. We're going to be on the deck at Paul's house, kind of like live at Daryl's, but live at Paul's. And we're going to be doing a show from there, from the deck, and on soon. So we've got some shows. That's a little insight for you. It'll be fun. We'll have guests coming in, and even during the cold, we got heat out there. We're ready to go. It's on a ridge, a beautiful area, and I'll be crossing the state line for that. I go into the great state of Tennessee for that one. He lives a few miles away from me. Have a great day. Stay warm if you can. Be careful out there if you're shopping. And we'll see you this afternoon or evening. And pray for those that are really struggling. Brother Jerry is at home now, we've been friends for several years, and he's been in and out of Emory Hospital. He messaged me on Sunday. He's at home, and I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's at home. But there's a lot of people that are struggling. And again, going back to I'll slide out of the way, the shirt that was sent me. Yes, let's continue to keep the focus on veteran suicides. And again, these were astounding numbers that they sent me. I'll share those again. Since 2022, in 2022, 6,407 veteran suicides. Think about that in 1 year. 22 consecutive years, 6,000 plus veteran suicides. 140,000 plus veterans have died by suicide since 2001. And this is the second leading cause of death for veterans under the age of 45. And I appreciate the place that sent me that with a shirt. And we'll give them a shout out. And maybe we can get somebody on from the organization. We'll work on that. But it's called Roger. You can see that at the top, Roger. And we'll see if we can get them on. They're a wellness service, and they're there to get help and all that. They're available 24/7 at 844-556-2093, or you can go to stopsoldiersuicide.org/get help. And anything we can do to highlight that, I'm all in. God bless America. God bless you. No matter where you're coming from today, if you're outside the country, God bless you today. And if you don't know Christ as your Lord and Savior, reach out today. It's just a prayer away. This world is heating up, boy. That we're in the Sunday night. A fellow preacher in the church, he's been doing Sunday night preaching. I do Sunday morning. We flip it around too. We do both. But he's doing an end time events preaching right now, and we were in the judgments last night. We finished the first set of judgments, and we're going in the trumpet judgments. But wow, seal judgments and all, and the carnage and death that's coming. I'm glad to be a Christian. I'll just say that every day. I'm thankful, and so every day is a gift, and I'm glad to be alive today. And I love all of you, and pray for me. I'll pray for you if you have a special prayer request. Do send those to us. We have a new email, and you're welcome to use my personal. I put it out there, but for the podcast is SFP podcasting. So there's two P's right there together. SFP podcasting at gmail.com. You can email there. Wolfnation26 at yahoo.com. Wolfnation26. That's for that. And if you want to send us your pet video or videos, pictures, tell us about your pet. We'll highlight those on the pet show, which is on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That will come to Southern Claws Paws, all one word, at gmail.com. So we have some different emails for different things going on here at the broadcast, the podcast. So SFP, Southern Fried Patriot, Cornbread Nation, Wolf Nation. Our coffees are being rebranded. We have the ad. I don't know if I got that in here. I've got to redo it on the site. We're working with them and our folks that take care of our website for us. We've got some new things we're putting up, and we'll get that. So I don't think I have that in there, but I'll get it added in tonight. So I think we were switching some stuff over the other day, and I updated some stuff, and then I lost everything, and they gave me everything back. If that makes sense. It's like, oh man, I got to rebuild this. But I was at the StreamYard I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm getting out of here. Got to go brave the cold, and we'll go with some music. For those of you in Rumble, you may see we'll probably raid somebody this morning. We're doing that now as creators. You don't have to. You can opt out if you want to. I try to go to somebody that's on. Usually Kim's Coffee Talk. If she's up, I try to go there and support her. And but we'll see you next time. God bless. This is a Cornbread Man. We'll see you on the flip side, as they say.